It's in the very nature of time that it runs on more quickly than any of us would wish, and I must compress all that I want to say into a few brief and fleeting minutes. Now, perhaps that in itself represents one of the lessons that I can impart, the preciousness of each moment. And this is so important as you look to the future. You see, in the 21st century, staying employed will mean more than just knowing something. It'll mean being able to keep on learning. It'll mean having character and discipline and being proud of yourselves, learning to learn, and learning to look to the future with confidence. We're moving from an age of things to an age of thoughts, of mind over matter. It is the mind of man, free to invent, free to experiment, free to dream, that will shape the economy and the world of the future. You will discover as you get older that certain things are so much a part of your life that you'll remember them always. You'll remember how you felt about things, about successes, and yes, disappointments. You know, every generation is critical of the generation that preceded it. Our generation felt that way, and so will yours. But in casting aside the old, don't throw out those values that have been tested by time just because they're old. We want to tell you all that we have learned. We want to paint for you our own experience so vividly that you'll be able to avoid our heartaches while you double and redouble your joys. And then we find we have nothing at our disposal but words, weak and feeble instruments. Still, we must try. Every modicum of knowledge that can be truly and rightly transmitted from one generation to the next can prove invaluable. Don't be concerned because you haven't made up your mind. I graduated from college with a degree in economics and sociology, and still had not been able to pin down exactly what I wanted to do. The demand was just maybe to get a job of any kind, because I graduated at the very depth of the Great Depression, 1932. It wasn't until I went back to my summer job to get a little money to go job hunting. After I'd graduated, my summer job was lifeguarding at a river beach in my hometown. And there were people who came out from the city and corporate heads and so forth with their families every summer, and I'd taught their children to swim, and one was there, and he told me that if I could tell him what I wanted to do, he had contacts with a number of businesses and areas. He would do what he could to get me a job. And I went home and I thought, and I finally realized that in spite of my degree in economics and sociology, I didn't have the nerve to say I wanted to be an actor. But radio was pretty new, and I said I wanted to be a sports announcer. And he said, well, I don't have any contacts. There's nothing I can do to help you there. But he said, maybe that's better. Let me give you some advice. He gave me the best advice I've ever had. He said, you start out knocking on doors, telling people, at those doors, what you want to do, businesses. And someplace along the line, even in this depression, you'll find someone in a radio station. Don't ask to be a sports announcer. He said, just ask for anything because you believe in the future of radio. Anything inside the station, and then take your chances on there from getting to what you want. And then you'll get a job. And he says, don't get discouraged if you go to a lot and knock on a lot of doors. Remember, a salesman sometimes has to make 250 calls before he makes a sale. It turned out to be the greatest advice I was ever given. You already have a voice. Make it heard. You're free to be whatever you want to be with no one and nothing stopping you. In a free society, you're free to invent yourself, to turn yourself into a great teacher, a race car driver, a minister, or a movie star, or a grower and seller of flowers. You could be anything. It's your invention, and there's nothing to stop you. Don't let it bother you that you haven't made that decision yet. You'll change your mind many times before it comes the right moment. But then when it comes, just knock on the door of whatever you've chosen to do and ask until you find somebody that'll let you in. Now we have arrived, as we always do, at the moment of truth. It is time to clean house, to clean out the privileges and perks Clean out the arrogance and the big egos. Clean out the scandals, the corner cutting, and the foot dragging. Let's not dismiss our current troubles, but where they see only problems, I see possibilities as vast and diverse as the American family itself. Whether we come from poverty or wealth, Christian or Jewish, from big cities or small towns, we are all equal in the eyes of God. That's not enough. We must be equal in the eyes of each other. We can no longer judge each other on the basis of what we are, but must instead start finding out who we are. Our origins matter less than our destinations, and that's what democracy is all about. We can assert that the time has come to move forward. Let us leave behind suspicion between our peoples and replace it with understanding. It's a philosophy you can live by. In fact, I hope you do. As a matter of fact, I believe with all my heart that if a generation of young people throughout the world could get to know each other, they would never make war upon each other. That no force on earth can stop individuals from achieving great goals when they have the will and the heart to pull together and work together. It's good for society when we all know that no one is manipulating the system to their advantage because they're rich and powerful. But it's also good for society when everyone pays something, that everyone makes a contribution. We must not let the creation of wealth become a preoccupation with material things. We've made so much economic progress in our country, but it'll mean very little if your children look back at your days as a time of materialism and selfishness and looking out for number one. But money's only money unless it represents genuine commitment. There's an old American tradition called house raising. The pioneers out west would get together and build each other's houses. That was a long time ago, but it's still going on. Every time someone helps a lonely old man or woman in a shelter for the poor, that's a house raising. I wish you a nation of strength and wealth and power. But more than that, I wish you a nation where the house raising continues. Remarkable things are happening everywhere. People of all nations, people of all races and faiths have learned to live in harmony. Our children have been able to grow up in prosperity and freedom. It falls to us now, as it soon shall fall to you, to preserve and strengthen the peace. Surely no man can have a greater goal than that of protecting the next generation against the destruction and pain of warfare. But what's really important is what inspired us to do these things. What's really important is the philosophy that guided us. The whole thing can be boiled down to a few words: freedom, freedom, and more freedom. But whatever you do with it, you will be the one who's doing the doing. You'll make the decisions. You'll have the autonomy. I know a fellow who once bought into a little hamburger stand out west. He was just a regular guy, but he worked hard, advertised, and the little stand prospered. You may have heard of it. It's called McDonald's. Hope finds its expression in hard work. Our proudest moments are yet to be. Our most glorious achievements are just ahead. And no matter how full our own lives have been, we say with Thomas Jefferson, I like the dreams of the future better than the history of the past. Let us all renew our commitment, renew our pledge to day by day, person by person, make our country and the world a better place to live. May every dawn be a great new beginning. We are beginning still. Every day brings fresh challenges and opportunities to match. Go for it. Reach those heights. Excel. Keep it up. Keep on saying yes to life. Never forget your heroic origins. Never fail to seek divine guidance. And never lose your natural, God-given optimism. Enjoy your freedom. Breathe it in. Use it to create the most important and moving thing a man or woman can create, a decent and meaningful life. May each of you have the heart to conceive the understanding to direct, and the hand to execute works that will make the world a little better for your having been here. I want you to know that I have always had the highest respect for you, for your common sense and intelligence, and for your decency. I have always believed in you and in what you could accomplish, and whatever else history may say about me when I'm gone, I hope it will record that I appealed to your best hopes, not your worst fears, to your confidence rather than your doubts.